Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I am a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide.
So, what is true power? I want to unpack this question tonight. And a lot of people would want to start with what is true power not. But like a bank teller will learn what real money feels like by thumbing hundreds and hundreds of banknotes, I would rather talk about what true power is rather than what it's not. I feel that what I'm going to say tonight is probably a little bit more poetic and philosophical, but that's because I want to move your hearts before your heads. Later, we will unpack the practical issues and seek some solutions with a panel. But for now, let's explore some principles. Let's take a peek behind the curtain as to the notion of true power and how it actually impacts and links to our souls, how it impacts our insides. So for me, it sounds scary, but there are 10 aspects of true power I would like to touch on. Firstly, true power is force, but force that is of the true transcendental kind. It is a force for good. True power works with whatever resourcing, gifting, aptitude, influence to bring hope, to bring goodness, justice, and legacy, to improve an environment, not to control it, or even worse, decimate it. Aggression, whether it's obvious or through manipulation, masquerades as power, but is the exact opposite. It is weakness to shout and scream at people, to belittle them. It is weakness to undermine other people or abuse their willingness to please. It is weakness to threaten and instill fear. To quote this one scripture, there's a passage that says, "The meek shall inherit the earth." And meekness is defined as strength under control. So why would the meek rule the earth or be trusted to? Because they would rule it without destroying it. True power is strength under control. It is pure force, to coin a phrase. The force of clear vision, of clear purpose, of kindness, of expecting the best from others. A force that will confront injustice with wisdom and without violence. True power is not about how much force you can exert over another. It is rather how much force you can exert for another. And this leads me to my next touch point. True power builds with others in mind. It builds with generations in mind. True power is outward focused. This does not mean that an individual has to lose all self-awareness and self-care. It doesn't mean that an individual has to be a doormat to meet the needs and wants of other people. It means that others matter in your individual journey through life. It means that it's not all about you. If we all adopted this, we wouldn't have to worry about doormats and self-neglect, because the operation of empowering and considering others would bring a safety to all our individual souls. So, in line with what this documentary shared in quite a lot of depth, true power is inclusive. It's found in the collective. Diversity is strength. True power understands that though the back of the tapestry is full of threads, basically a mess, when it's all done, the end picture is beautiful. The end picture is a message, or even a song. All these colors, all those threads, knitted together to bring art. True power is patient as each thread is pulled through the eye of the needle and then shaped through the breathing holes of that canvas. I'd like to read a few quotes from our docu to massage this truth in a little. Vanessa says, "Someone who philosophically understands that it is the right thing to have a diverse team will engage with it very differently. They won't just be checking boxes." Dominic said, "We look at inclusion as comfort. How comfortable are you to show up as you in your workplace? not a version of you, but as you. Judy said, if you have diversity but you don't have an inclusive culture, and diverse people have to assimilate to the dominant culture, you've lost out. Because no one is innovative when they are trying to assimilate into something they do not know. When they are accepted for who they are, they will perform at their best. See, diversity is actually not about color or gender. It's found in differing skill sets, personalities, strengths, weaknesses, nationalities, opinions of view, ways of being. Whether at work or in family or in communities or any arena of life, true power knows that bonded diversity is the glue. True power always looks to bind people together and not divide them. You've heard that the war cry, divide and conquer. Well, you may conquer, but you will rule a divided land. And a divided house will eventually fall. You see, one thing is important when I say this. Remember, inflicting harm is not a manifestation of your diversity, but rather of your character. We don't absorb anything and everything in the name of inclusion. True power filters the character flaws that cause harm, but works with the differences and, yes, even the weaknesses that simply need a home. True power understands dependency and vulnerability and allows these two dynamics to bring people together and not tear them apart. So true power empowers. It allocates trust alongside accountability. To quote Dominic again, we have heard corporations say that they are on a journey of transformation and have many black executives that they bring on board, only to find these people can't actually implement the decisions that they make, and so there's no authentic power. What we are doing is putting black faces to white power. If we are going to be authentic, then let's trust people. Let's trust their abilities, trust in their competence, that if we give them particular tasks and need them to make decisions, then we allow them to make them and see them through to the end. Judy mentioned color clouds things, gender clouds things, but it is important because it's our history and we're trying to correct. But when you remove all of that and say, I am a leader of this person and I want the best out of this person for the benefit of the company, and then you do something that is best for this person and the best for the company, that's when you've empowered, and that's when you can turn around and say, oh, she's black. I love that part. Well, I did. What do we need to do to effectively train, develop, mentor, coach, and empower others? What do we need to do? Equality is access. Again, Dom says access to meaningful work, mentorship, and emotional support. The work ahead of us is to define this meaningful work. It is to design the intervention of empowerment. Nwabisa, please pick the ladies' brains at the panel. How are we going to do this thing? Point in case. No pressure. We need you to solve all our problems tonight. Point in case, don't say you're a leader if you have no investment in the ones you lead. If your power is only for your advancement, then you are weak. True power is a harness. It harnesses the resources at its disposal to ensure everything I've just mentioned. See, money is a tool, not a weapon. Influence is a mechanism, not manipulation. Position and title are an opportunity, not a disco suit. I don't want to have to wear Ray-Bans in your presence. True power asks the question, what is at my disposal to affect everything that has just been mentioned? What can I do? And then this is what I found quite interesting. True power is the friend of adversity. What do you say? You're saying I must make friends with suffering. Well, true power knows that adversity will come and must be overcome. There is a passage that, again, in the Bible, so I read that a lot. Agree with thine adversary. It means that one will need a healthy perspective of the reality of adversity. You see, there's a reality of resistance. There is a reality of failure. And yes, you will fail. Yes, you will make wrong choices. Yes, others will be mean to you, and others will let you down. And yes, you will let someone down. This is adversity. In South Africa, the load will shed. Guns are fired in the streets. Service delivery is poor and corruption is high. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to run? Are you going to complain? Are you going to cause dissent? If you can't beat them, are you going to join them? I love this quote from Woodrow Wilson. It says, I'm going to actually read it, "Liberty has never come from government. Liberty has always come from the subjects of it. The history of liberty is a history of limitations of governmental power, not the increase of it. What resource can you allocate to play your part in our liberty? What are you going to do? When your business closes, when you don't get promoted, when you get demoted, or worse, get fired unfairly, when you become sick, injured, or you lose someone close to you, what are you going to do? Will you fold, or will you rise up, grieve, heal, adapt, inspire, testify? True power is resilient, my friends. It never, ever gives up. And just to bring this home, I want to play this clip for you. This talks to resilience and true power being a force.
Come on, Boya. Come on, Louis. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Miruna. Miruna. Miruna! Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
is a really, really good depiction of false versus true power. Do we agree? I mean, do you see how everyone stopped working and watched? Broken and absolutely desperate, they waited for an outcome, for any other outcome than the death and the brutality that surrounded them in this war camp. Then we see the force of true power, of a man insistent on overcoming, roaring out against his abuser. He did not throw the plank down and attack the Chinese officer, taking a bullet in a blaze of glory, but he didn't give in either. He looked his enemy in the eye and he conquered the task. He took the power back. You see, Watanabe, that's the guy's name, the bird, loses all power and beats him repeatedly. See, power lost to a power-hungry man makes a savage out of him, or her. Look at the hope that true power gave those men around him, the inspiration. And even on the ground, all he can see is his true self, an Olympian runner, a man with a gift. See, when Watanabe falls to his knees in the face of this power, the power of a man who would not bow to adversity. So true power makes friends with adversity, but doesn't bow to it. Which brings me to the power of letting go. True power forgives and forgets. In the sequel, Louis goes and sees these Chinese war criminals who are now serving their sentences. He stands with a couple of hundred men who are carrying the weight of their guilt, and he stands in the room and then he starts to walk amongst them, taking their hands, telling them, "I forgive you," shaking hands, even hugging. And what is absolutely powerful about it is that, remember, these people weren't someone that said something nasty to you at the water cooler at work, or someone who undermined you on a work project, or didn't invite you to the office party. These were men that had tortured and killed thousands of soldiers. And yet, Louis forgives, he releases. When it comes to the true power equation, forgiveness is the Siamese twin of resilience. You see, everyone else will need forgiveness as much as we'll need to give it. True power holds a mirror. It's unafraid to see its own weaknesses and errors. True power recognizes when it needs to grow, learn, and make better decisions. True power becomes more powerful in the face of criticism. If you've ever watched the Marvel movies, and there's that one where that guy, he was jacked up on electricity, basically. And they tried to use napalm to wipe him out. But the more firepower they used on him, the more he absorbed the energy and became more powerful. See, when it comes to criticism, true power will absorb it and become more powerful. It'll learn. It moves with every experience of missing the mark. It's about re-aiming, realigning, refiring. Humility is a gift to everyone. A great test of another's ability to exercise true power is to see how they handle humiliation. Will they rage? Will they try get revenge? Or are their feathers well oiled and the mockery just slides off of them? And finally, true power understands choice. Judy said, the power that you have resides with you. Whether you choose to use it or not is your issue. You need to own your own career and development. You need to own your life. True power knows that without making an active choice or taking responsibility for one's own choices, there's no momentum in this thing called life. Though systemically there is dire need for change, in the meantime, what choices will you make? The red pill or the blue pill? Do we know the matrix? Will you stay locked into what society says? Or will you seek out to exercise your power? Now, I know that I'm talking about a true power that seems to sit in a type of utopia, idealistic. But people, we are designed to reach for the stars. We are designed to reach for the heavens. We search for this ideal daily, even if it's only an ache in our hearts. So, having said all that, I wanted to just end with this one quote, which Tambo, I loved it. It says here, I cannot fight the darkness that is out there, but all I can do is to light the light that I have so that it can shed light to other people. So choose your power, people, and take ground. Okay, thank you. So.